Okay, here we are again. Another session of Joey Hunter talking to Bob Menna, who was a model after me, who became an agent like I did. So Bob went from modeling in the '70s to become an agent. I guess in the '80s, but he'll know better than that, more about that than I did. I was a model in the '60s. I became an agent in '69. I became the president of Ford's along with Marion and Katie Ford. And I've had a long and successful career, which I'd like to say to people that it's not only modeling, but it's behind the scenes, and there's a lot of other uh, industry jobs that you can take and places that you can work within the fashion business or the fashion industry. Bob, are you on? I think we lost him. But I've got a bunch of questions. We'll find out how he got started and how he liked that transition from modeling to becoming an agent. Oh, I was supposed to invite.
Yeah, I clicked it already. No, 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 not that one. It's the first one. So, okay. And just wait for him to.
Here I am again. I'm back. We're trying to find Bob. He's lost somewhere in my apartment, but we'll find him soon and be able to ask him questions. I love doing this, and I wish if anybody had any questions, they would just text me or write them, get in touch with me on Instagram, and I will gladly answer them. I probably will answer them on the next broadcast that we do. And don't forget to watch all our stories on Instagram. No, excuse me, not Instagram, YouTube. We have Era Stories on YouTube that you can find and scout our our previous broadcasts. We're still having a little tough. Oh, there we are. Bob, man, are you looking
Hey,
good?
Dal.
You're a kid compared to me. Look at you.
Oh, no, 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 no,
Well,
no. I'm right behind you, brother.
as made the transition model to becoming an agent. So tell me first, how did you get started in the modeling business?
Well, I always wanted to be. No, I was actually managing a pet shop, and it was the summer. Yeah, you probably remember there was one summer where it was like 104 degrees, 10 days in a row or something. They were hosing down the bridge because people's tires were melting. The pet shop had no air conditioning. And
Oh,
I finally just said, heck with this, handed the keys to the deli and went over. And I didn't know what to do. And I asked a buddy of mine if who was in television. I figured I could maybe get in there doing something, learn to produce, direct, whatever. If he had a job, getting coffee or whatever. I was about 17, 18, I don't know. And he didn't, but he said he had a buddy who was putting together a fashion show. Maybe I could go over and see him and they could do something. But meanwhile, my hair was, this was 1970, maybe, I think 70. My hair is down to here. I walk into the guy. I wish I knew his name, remember his name, because he was a really nice guy in the industry. And he put me into like a frontier Indian outfit. And the other thing was probably the gayest outfit you could have because it was made out of metal and silver, like sweatsuit thing that was clinging everywhere, right? But anyway, I got that job. They sent me out. I, go backstage. All the girls are running around naked. I'm going like this. This
This
looks
is
like it's fun,
for me.
and I had to walk out and back, for 5 minutes or whatever, and I think it was $300 to $350, which is, in today's money, that's a lot of money.
A lot
It's
of
like
money.
5,000.
More,
That's like 5,000
and
bucks
more than
for
you
a couple of hours.
more than you were making for the week.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. And so I asked some of the guys there who, oh, what's the deal? What do you do? Oh, you got to go around to the agents and stuff. And actually, I remember I went up to see you.
Oh, you
And
did.
oh yeah, yeah. My hair is down to here. I probably went in with my ripped up jean jacket or something. And you were, back towards Jerry's office, and you just went like this. You said, "No, come on, get get out of here."
What a mistake that
And
was.
no, no, no. It was. I got the same thing everywhere. Right, everywhere I went to Willie and stuff. And then I went up to Paul Wagner
The
booking.
Western agency, right?
And it was when Ted had turned into an
Right,
agent.
right, right.
And, Ted saw me. He said, "Yeah, yeah, And I'm going like, everybody tells me I got to cut my hair. I'm not going to cut my hair, man." And Ted said, don't worry about it. We'll tie your hair back and we'll get some pictures taken. So I got some pictures taken, and I think in the first month, uh, I went to Scavullo. They sent me to Scavullo to do a test for some cologne. And I had to be bare chested and, holding the cologne like this, right? And so they set up the shot. I'm going there holding the cologne, and Scavullo comes in. He looks at the camera, looks up again. He looks through the camera, and then he starts screaming, Brother Monster, how are we going to do this? Because I used to have this terrible, nail biting habit, right? I don't know. I was trying to hide them as best I could, right? And so they sent me off to manicurist and, get my nails done. And I was so embarrassed because I didn't have any money. I go in and I said, "Hey, can you just do one hand? That's the hand they need." But anyway, I think the next job I got a job, and the next job I had was for GQ, and
Which was fine in those
I
days.
got on the cover.
And you got the cover, right? The first time?
First job.
Well, then that set you off on your career then.
Yeah, I never had to do anything after that. It was just
You see,
so easy that all I had to do was show up.
in those days, GQ was the Bible. And
Oh,
guys get into GQ to really make it. And once you did get in, you were out there. And at that time, we had a real strong men's business. And there was a lot of work for men in those days. And you were there at the right time, Bob.
no, absolutely. I mean, besides that, well, as you know, it's no secret that during that time period, somewhere between 70 and 85% of the men were gay.
Correct.
And so some didn't feel comfortable, you know, being intimate with the woman if that's what they had to do. So I got all these jobs where all I had to do was hold someone, look like you're in love with them. And I fell in. How can you imagine getting paid to go fall in love every day?
I said the same thing. I
Yeah.
did the same thing in the city. Wherever there were two girls, I was in the middle, or I was looking over their shoulder or smelling their hair like Joe Biden. And in those days, you can smell a girl's hair or you can nuzzle them without getting a lawsuit.
I can't imagine, I just can't imagine second in today's environment, you
Neither
know.
would I. I'd be doing 20 years. You know,
Yeah, but
like, can you imagine getting on a set with a young lady and saying, look, can I touch you on the shoulder? Or could I put my nose on your neck before you do it? And what if they say
I, I won't tell you because we're live and it can't be edited what one of my lines was when I just walked on the set and introduced myself. But it was something that if they didn't like it, I say, "Oh no, I didn't mean that." I said, you know, but I was just trying to break the ice, you know.
You know, it was a happy industry then, right, Bob? Everybody got along. Everybody worked with each other. Everybody hung out. Everybody really were good friends, you know.
Yeah.
And whether you were straight, gay, or didn't know what you were, we were all in it together. And we all worked with each other and we all helped each other.
Yeah, no
And
division
yeah,
at all.
exactly. Let me ask you, how was the transition from the modeling to becoming an agent? When did you do that?
You know, I didn't know if you were aware of it, but I was always sort of a black sheep as the model.
Oh, I knew that
What?
for sure.
Huh?
I
You knew that?
knew that.
Yeah. So because you know, I just felt that I'm going like, wait, where's the interest lie, right? In other words, I looked at it from a business standpoint, but it's like the power structure was too asymmetrical. So at one point, I tried to see if there's a possibility to unionize, and it wasn't. You know, because there were some changes that I wanted to make that I didn't agree with. A couple of things that were very important to me. One was that if the girls get paid double for wearing underwear, then the guys should too. There should be no difference, you know, but that wasn't how it
It
was,
wasn't.
right? No. And the other thing is let's say I'm the principal for Johnny Walker or something, and I'm holding the scotch, and Cheryl Teague is the girl who's with me, and it's the back of her head. You know, you don't even see that it's Cheryl Teague, but the client just wanted to have Cheryl Teague in the shot, right?
Making more money.
Yeah, considerably more money, usually 2 to 3 times the amount of money. And I'm the image selling the product. So I wanted parity, right?
Correct.
And I figured the only way I could make those changes is if I became an agent. And, and at that time, John's men's division had a terrible reputation.
Yeah, he was known for women.
And I had a thought and plan of what to do. And the plan was to go and release almost everybody and keep 10, I think it was 10 or 12 people that were there, most of the men that he'd brought over from France, right? And that would create a buzz just having all those people scatter, right, around all at once. And even though, and the idea is that the agency would not have any more new division. They would only be, you know, people who are working and capitalize on the name elite. So these were the elite
Right.
of the elite. And, you know, so some of the people who were there, I think I passed some people to you. I passed some people to Zoli. I passed a couple of people to Willie, you know, so they wouldn't just get lost, right?
Right.
And, and I got in and I made those changes. Well, first thing was, I think it took me 3 months to get an appointment with John. I called every week. I'm going, yeah. And so I finally get an appointment, and he had no idea who I was, right? And I sit down and outline the thing to him, and right away he says, "I don't care about the men's division, you know, it's nothing." And I said, "Look, you know, you should care because you're in a service business, and even though you have the women locked up, you know, just think if you can use that, in other words, use the women's division to bring the men in, and you know, just keep on piggybacking on that, you could make a lot more money." And so, he basically gave it to me to run on the basis that I was going to be making more money, and I had a good deal with him if I made more money. I was incentivized. And so I did that, and it worked and made a lot more money, you know. And then after I think it was a year and a half, 2 years, there was some other stuff that happened, and with my daughter and stuff, had a car accident and stuff.
Go back to modeling after
Yeah,
you did. And you
yeah,
married a beautiful girl from my agency. She was a
yeah,
model,
yeah.
and she was, I believe, Suzanne.
Susanna
Yeah,
Thornborn. Yeah.
she was a foreign girl, and she was with the Ford. And I remember that you had married her. But you applied the Joey Hunter method of what I was trying to do in the industry too, bring us up to par with the girls. And,
Yeah.
and Jerry Ford started that whole residual movement where everything was based on a usage. There were 5, 6, 7 different usages, and also there were like the Screen Actors Guild. There was 3 months, 6 months, 8 months, a year, 9 months. And each month cost a few dollars, and so you brought that to it. And then what happened? It just ended, or you just walked away?
No, I mean, I think my daughter had a car accident. I needed to take care of her and spend some time with her. And plus, the excitement of it was gone, because the exciting part was, all the surreptitiousness in the 6 months leading up to the opening, all the behind the scenes, the wheeling dealing, and then also, trying to do that maneuvering to get the prices up and dealing with the different
Yeah.
entities you have to deal with to make a deal and explain why. And once everything was up and running, you know, it wasn't that, it didn't have that same thing, and it's an office building. Yeah, and I'm not an office building kind of guy, you know. And
So you went
so,
modeling,
yeah, with the elite,
and how long did you model then?
probably another 10, 12 years, something like that.
And you were originally with Wagner, which became Zoli. Am I correct? Or you went with Getty's, which said Ted.
No, it was bookings. Oh wait, maybe it was Wagner. I think it was Wagner or booking, and then that went bankrupt or something. The guy ran off with the money. I don't know. But then Ted opened up Getty's,
Getty's, right?
which was, Ted got scammed into that, you know. And then
Ted came to Ford, and we
yeah,
represented till the end of his
yeah,
career. He
yeah,
went back home to Australia.
yeah. And he did much better after he got out and went
Oh yeah,
back, you know.
he went back. He became a superstar. I mean, he was every Ted. He was such a classic look and such a beautiful looking guy. He had that maturity about him, and he brought a lot of class to a lot of the ads. So let me ask you. So how has it changed? I know you're not in the business now, but you know a lot about it. You keep tabs on it. How has it changed from when we were in the business to what it is today?
Well, I I think in those, especially in those early days, probably when you were modeling. I mean, I wasn't modeling then, but when you were modeling, and
Are you
like
saying I'm
that,
older than you?
are you?
Of course.
No, we're partners. But so I think that there was a look that was more craggy. I don't know how to describe it. Like a Eric McKenzie or Alain Jarry or Michelle Castellanos. They were the faces weren't as neutral as they are today. It's like today, it seems like they want a neutral face that can kind of
They
blend in. I don't
they all
know. I don't know.
look alike today.
Yeah.
They all
Nah.
look alike, and we had real good-looking guys like yourself. You're a very good-looking guy, and most of the male models were very good-looking in their own way.
Yeah.
When you say a or Alan Jerry or Ted Dawson, Eric McKenzie, how about Jeff Aquilon
Yeah.
and Bill McLaughlin? Lowell was the catalog king.
Yeah. Eric was with you, right?
Yeah, Eric McKenzie was with me.
He
Yeah.
always seemed a little spooky to me.
Well, he was very so intellectual, like, and he kept to himself, and he always thought a lot. But they loved him.
Yeah,
They
no, but
loved
he was piloting planes here and there, and
his. And he wrote a book too
Oh
about.
yeah,
Yeah, he sent me a manuscript of a book that he wrote about the modeling business and how he got started. I think he started with Avedon found him. Or he got to meet Avedon, and Avedon put him in a Revlon ad. Uh, but he did write another book. I hear his father was a famous writer, or not a famous writer, but had written a lot of books and taught at Harvard. Uh, we had our diversity was completely different than it is today. Now they put you in a cubbyhole, and it seems like that's where you have to stay. And so if you either for him or for her or not, you had to pick sides. When we were in the business, I believe we never picked sides. We were all together.
the other big difference that I see, and it kind of blends and goes hand in hand with the advents of the technology and moving faster and everything, is the longevity.
Yeah.
People don't have careers today like, you know, make a career out of modeling. I mean, when you think of Ted, you, or, me, quarter of a century doing something
Yeah.
is a career.
Right. I mean, Ted was at least in for 25 years,
Oh,
at
yeah.
least,
More, more,
maybe
more.
more, because
Yeah.
he was older than I was. And when I left Ford, and when I left Cameron, when I stopped being an agent, I had close to 35, 40 years in the business. And that doesn't happen today. There are a few guys and a few girls out there that have been around a long time, but not like it used to be, where we really uh, almost were born into the business and left with a nice chunk of change in the business. I know a lot of the guys did very well and set themselves up in other businesses and done other things, became
They're
lawyers.
the smart ones, not like me. I just always had fun, you know.
Bob, you're still having fun. From what I could see,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
what you're doing today, you're keeping yourself fit. You're still diving and swimming in the East River.
That's
But
right.
tell me about your GQ days and the GQ machine of really how that worked uh, and the benefits that you got from being in there.
Yeah, I mean, it was fortunate in so many ways because a lot of the time, because I tan easily, I'm like a good pick to go on these location jobs where it's nothing but blazing sun all day, for a week or 2 weeks. And so I would end up all through the winter because I'm already there. I'm already looking like I'm the good tourist or whatever, they don't have to worry about somebody getting sunburned and waiting a couple of days for them to look like they belong. So I got a lot of those jobs with them, and uh, is usually the summer stuff or the, doing some swimming or something fit, right? And besides being a load of fun, for the most part, you know, it was always a lot of fun. It's fun even if you have a little problem here or there with somebody, which you occasionally do, but it's nowhere near enough to take the joy out of the job and the enjoyment out of the job. And so, and every time, you got a spread that came out in it, it's like you'd be turning down work. You couldn't. I'd try and figure out how can I do, how can I, what's the way you can do to get everything that everybody wants, but you can't. You can't. You just have to sort of ride the wave as it goes, and then uh, that's the other thing. I think when you have a longevity, it goes like this. I mean, my business did.
Yeah.
Over a period of time, you have your good periods and bad periods. When Superman came in, because people would start. I wear my glass. I can't wear my glasses and see you here, right? But I have to wear my glasses to get around, and so yeah, and so sometimes I started getting my image with my glasses. So when Superman came in, I just cleaned up, for Superman for a year, and you know it's the same if a president gets in, if you have a light-haired president, they'll use the light-haired people.
That's right.
And actually, I noticed when I was trying to get some stuff in the early '90s, after the bombing, the first bombing of the Trade Center, it's like anybody with any sort of dark skin was out.
Yeah.
If you could be possibly interpreted as being Middle Eastern or something, you're out.
True.
So for me, that was
Well,
it. But
talking about skin color,
yeah,
uh, in the 60s, everybody was white. And if you had a tan, there was a problem because it cost a fortune to retouch because it was all done by hand. Thank God when the Europeans started showing, they were looking then for a guy with olive skin or a guy who tanned or, still, even though you had that olive skin, you couldn't tan in the winter because then they'd have to retouch it because all the girls were white.
yeah.
And
That would
makeup
get.
was white.
Yeah.
So the European look ushered in guys like yourself, guys like, not you can't say Eric McKenzie, Ted Dawson, but Michelle
Oh,
Costello.
Tony.
Yeah,
Look at
Tony
Tony.
Spinelli, a
Yeah.
perfect example. That Tony Spinelli comes on the scene and takes it by storm because of his look. And he was olive
Yeah.
skin, he even had a mustache too when he started. Uh,
That's right.
with one now,
Yeah.
but he and that sort of gave another dimension to the
Yeah.
you know uh, like I always said, I was one of the first dark guys in the business, and eventually there were different types of guys with different types of colored skin, and the business as a whole was very good for everybody. And we were at the mercy of the advertisers too, like you say. you know, After the bombing, they wouldn't use this type. When a different president got in, that's the type they used. Advertising was wanting to reach out to people, to make them, to bring their dreams to them, to make them say, oh, I look like this guy. Oh, I look like this girl. Or I want to be like her. or I want to be like him, man. Look at Bob Menna. I'm going to be like him. Let's. What does he do? He works out. What is he? You know, does he run? Does he jump? Does
You know,
you know? Like him.
I don't think it was that so much. I think it was more like, you know, in those days, you know, what guy wants to go out shopping and get another gray suit, right? That's all they're wearing is the gray suits, this and that. And it's always so. I think the advertisers were advertising to the women so that they go, why don't you go out and you gotta look like that? You know, you can see what that guy's wearing. I think
Exactly.
I think that it was more about that than because no, you know, what guy was paying attention? Did you pay attention to suit ads?
Well, yes, of course. I paid attention because I was in business and I wanted to
No,
see.
no, but I mean before you were in
No,
the business.
no, not really, because
No,
I
of
used
course
to
not.
paid.
But if your girlfriend said, you know, why don't you get something like that and we can go here or something, you know.
Well, if my girlfriend now ever told me to go and look like these guys on the runway, I'd shoot myself because
Hey,
they,
Halloween's coming up.
Bobby, that you and I, if we ever wore them, they'd arrest us. I mean, I don't understand who wears those clothes.
Let me tell you, I used to do a lot of this tourist wear, right?
Yeah.
And tourist wear is the most weirdest stuff, plaid slacks, it was this and that. And I would be saying the exact same thing. Who would wear this until I'm on some job somewhere, some location somewhere, and I see this guy who's about 30 years older than me wearing an outfit
Uh,
that I knew that I wore, right? The whole thing, head to toe. And I'm going like, wow, no kidding. It's like you sometimes you don't know your market. I remember one time I did this search commercial, and it was one of these commercials that you hated to see because they ran it and ran it. It's like those Woolite commercials. They just ran it again. I think they had bought 3 spots or something, and they threw the other 2 spots out and ran me in all the 3 spots. So besides making a lot of money from that, I'd be walking down the street and I get these 12-year-old girls going like, "Oh, Mr. Suits, Mr. Suits," and you know, I asked them, I said, what are you watching?" And it was like American Bandstand. You know, they were so they're targeting that audience.
yeah. Well, talking about Woolite, I did a Woolite commercial in the 60s. Going up and I made a lot of money. And
Yeah.
recognized me, but more, they wanted to know who the blonde was and if I had slept with her. And I would say, no, she was a female model. And it happened to be her family was famous. They opened up Baskin Robbins. But that was what that was. Did you, was she your girlfriend? Were you with her? You know, I mean, that was the thing. But the Woolite commercial, as you said, was over and over. I went up that elevator, 10,000.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I'll
that's
never
when,
forget that. I think if you go, and this was in probably 73, right? Or 4, something like that, that time period. So my actual time on the set was 2 takes
yeah, I could believe
for
it.
25 minutes. And I made something like $40,000
Yeah,
from that over 2 years from that commercial. And so today's money?
no. Today, they don't do network commercials.
Yeah.
If SAG commercial, it's they pay you scale and they don't run it nationwide, or they maybe use it for 13 weeks. The rest of the commercials, they do a buyouts. They give you X amount of dollars. They use it for a year or so, and that's it. So when those guys used to get rich with the cigarette commercials and the liquor commercials. That doesn't happen anymore, you know. And also, I've got to say, I'm happy that there's diversity in the business, but diversity also has killed the business. I think diversity has spread out the money so much that it's very hard to really cash in on the business. You know, I never said it was a business that you could live with for the rest of, that you could earn for the rest of your life, but it was a business where you can get in, make a lot of money,
Yeah.
and of course use you up. But still, now I don't think it's that way.
Yeah. And you always have to deal with the exposure issue, right? Is that you're overexposed. And, that's why when you're working, okay, I'm a little overexposed in this market. So now I'm going to go over to Europe for a month or two. And then maybe I'll go to California for a month. If you stayed in one place too long, you end up getting, regardless of, how much they like you, you end up being just too overexposed. So,
Let me ask you: did you work Milano and Paris and all those places?
not that much. That's where I met Susanna.
Or in Milano?
Yeah, it was in no, it was in the south of
Ah,
France.
ah, Rome.
South of France, Cap d'Antibes, I mean just beautiful. I go in, and this was my first real job when I had gone to Paris. I went to Paris, and that was my first job, and it was with Helmut Newton
Oh my God!
and her and Ava, and Marco Glabiano was there, just hanging around. He was Ava's girlfriend, Ava's boyfriend. And so I get there the first night, and they invite me to dinner with them, and I'm like, I'm 20, 21, kid-year-old kid.
Sophisticated Europeans.
Yeah. Sitting down, I'm looking, and there's so many silverware. There's so much silverware. There's like four glasses. You know, there's no place for my elbows, right? So, but and Susanna's sitting like not across from me, but across and a couple down, and I'm just awestruck. I mean, just like what you'd see in those cartoons, and so as they're talking, you know, at dinner, I realized that she's married. She's talking. They're talking about her husband. She's living on Lake Como, and we're going like, okay, that's it. It's off limits. And then throughout the shooting, we had to do a lot of holding and touching, and I could feel the electricity. And I'm
And
still no. The job ends. My part of the job ends. They're still down there, and with hanging my clothes, I had all this James Bond fantasy going on. How this was going to work out, and so I leave. I going to the airport, and I realize I left my passport. So I turn around, come back. The sun's coming through the doors. She's walking towards the elevator. It has one of these elevators, that's in the cage, and it goes up in the hotel on the staircase. And she, oh, I thought you were leaving. I know, I left my passport. And we get in the elevator, and I just couldn't help it. I just, took her in my arms.
oh,
And then,
that's a beautiful
yeah.
story, Bob. And
Huh?
the rest was history.
Yeah, yeah. And so, yes. So
Well,
we didn't never got married because she was married to an Italian who couldn't get divorced. She couldn't get divorced for like 10 years or something.
isn't it strange how we all married models? I guess because we were exposed to them. I,
Yeah, I mean,
I wonder how people get married these days when you're not allowed to tell a girl how beautiful she is, or touch her shoulder, or
you
like
know,
does smell her hair.
so far, know, that hasn't, I haven't run into that. That doesn't, that doesn't stop me. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with admiring a beautiful woman.
It doesn't.
There should be absolutely nothing wrong about that. And I'm not talking about leering at them or, saying something crude to them, but it's just an admiration of what one in the eye of the beholder, what you
Yeah,
think is beautiful.
you're beautiful looking. I love your hair. I love the way you dress. All these
Is
different
that what
things
you
you.
would say? Come
Oh,
on, give me your best line.
my best line was, "Jesus, I haven't seen anybody as beautiful as you in years."
Yeah, my best is you drop down on one knee in front of them. That's if there's a one knee drop and there's the two knee drop. And you just say, I bet nobody has dropped down on their knees to tell you how beautiful you look today.
Bob, I never did that. Otherwise, I would.
Well, it's not something I would do often. But when you get that, you know, you have
Well,
to express it. You have to show it. Why not? I mean, why not? I mean, what about the person on the other side who's, you know, all the women who are missing compliments because people are afraid to say something or how it might be misinterpreted? Give everybody a chance.
you know, it was funny. Uh, Females, you got to stoke their egos, and I remember when I was up on the men's division with Jerry in our offices, and when girls came up, they usually came up because Eileen told them they should lose weight or they didn't dress right or stuff like that. So they come into my office and I'd say, "What's the problem?" And you'd have to, and you'd say, "Look, you look great. You don't have to lose any weight. Just keep yourself in shape. But you're looking beautiful." And you always have to tell them how good they looked. And yes, I love that outfit that you have on. And I think it's right for you to wear something like that. And sometimes Eileen would just say it because she would say it. Uh, you know, uh,
Hammer's going to put 10 more pounds on you.
yeah. And I look at these girls and they say, "She wants me to lose 10 pounds." And I used to say, "Oh my God, no, please don't lose 10 pounds. I don't like you anymore."
Yeah, yeah.
But it was, we had a great time because there was a camaraderie, Bob, amongst the guys and the girls. I mean,
Well, especially at your
yeah,
shop. Uh,
we were like family
yeah.
at Ford. Yeah. As I was saying with Marion last week, we had a family. We all worked, lived together. I mean, I remember going out with 10, 12 people up to Jimmy McMullen's, if you remember him. He was a
Hmm.
mailman for
Yeah.
years, and he opened a very successful restaurant. And I used to take out the guys and the girls together, and some of the guys met some girls and some didn't, and I assume some of the girls met girls too.
Playing stupid?
But we were all hanging out. We were all doing things, and uh, it was a good time. It was a very good time. Uh, Let me ask you now, getting away from you're looking good, Bob. I got to tell you, man. If I was casting or booking male models, I definitely book you. That's
For what? What's my
why
product?
you don't find an agent these days. I think you should. I,
Maybe, the thing is, I'm taking care of my mom
yeah,
who's on dialysis, so it takes up a lot of my time.
yeah,
And I wouldn't want to, it's a kind of business that if you want to be able to ride the wave if the wave is there for
yeah.
you. So I wouldn't be able to ride the wave, you know.
exactly.
right now.
Now let me ask, what are you doing now?
Well, lot of my
Carry your mom.
yeah, a lot of sort of life revolves around that, and then another part of my life is just trying to maintain and stay fit. So I swim, tennis, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, tap dance, surf. Whenever I can, I want to try and be doing something, so I'm moving, because as soon as I stop moving, I turn into the Tin Man.
Yeah.
You know, it's like so that's almost like I have some of it's I try and find things that I like to do rather than go to the gym, because that I don't like to do.
I'm sure. When I was a kid, we used to swim in the East River in our underwear. And I saw a
Dodging
picture.
the dodging the turds, right?
I saw, and the whitefish. Remember the Coney Island whitefish? And I saw a picture of you diving in recently into the East River. And I
Yeah.
said, oh man, he's trying to kill himself, You dove into the East River, and I couldn't imagine how you got the hell out. What the current was going. And how
Well,
did you do that?
actually, that was a test dive. I hadn't taken a dive in probably 40 years, right? And I'm planning on taking a dive that was from about 20 feet. So I'm planning on taking a dive from this other place that's like 40 feet. So I
Wow.
needed to just test it out. And I picked the time when the tide was pretty much slack, or I thought it was. But when I started to swim there's a ladder about 150 yards
Where
away. So
was
when I
the street?
That's where I dove on 58th Street and had to swim to like 59th Street, the
Yeah.
equivalent. And there's a ladder. So when I'm swimming, I'm going like, wait a minute, I should have been there by now, And I realized how much the current
Yeah.
was against me.
I mean, you've got to be a strong swimmer. I mean, I would only do that if there was a rope attached to me so they can hold me in, because I would never
Well,
swim against that.
my daughter's going after me for even doing it, so when she comes, I have to get. I think I'm going to get Keith. I'm going to see if Keith will come in with a little
A
rope and life preserver in
motorboat.
case something happens.
Well, Keith's got a lot of boats, so maybe he'll put one for you
Yeah,
if it's not an antique.
yeah, but that's. I don't know if you've been down there, but they've just built this promenade at the end of 54th Street that
I
goes.
like
Yeah,
that, yes.
so
Yeah, they're really doing a lot on that East River. Not the East River. Yeah, the East River. Excuse me. They've really finished this whole stretch, which is quite beautiful and quite nice to walk on. I bike because my walking is not great, so I've got one of these bicycles where it's a tricycle, as a matter of
uh-huh.
fact, three
Oh, cool.
wheel, and it gets me around to where I want to go. Uh, Another question, Bob. Uh, when you left the agency business, when you ceased being an agent, was Elite representing you then also?
Yeah, yeah,
So basically, you were working with Michelle Castellano and Henry and and Alan Jarry and all
right.
those guys, right? Who were
Yeah,
French,
yeah,
I believe. Eric Arnold, the Arnold I was talking about. Now, these were all French guys who I feel did very well in the business. Uh, they were on covers of GQ, and they did a lot of the work, a lot of the fashion shows. And this is, what year was that? 80?
82, 83.
Yeah, when the European look really took hold. Uh, or not the European look, when we diversified, where every look, every good-looking guy was in, and I don't remember too many bad-looking guys. I used to say that most of my guys looked like matinee idols, you know, and they all looked like they could do movies, which a lot of them did, and a lot of the girls went on from the modeling business to be actresses, and a lot of the guys did the same thing, went out to California, and you know, you brought up the underwear ad, you know, where guys weren't getting double time like the girls would for lingerie, because Jack Scalia
Yeah.
had done that ad, and and he became famous from it. Man, they
Right.
did a board, I think, of him in his underwear, you know,
Yeah.
and sure enough, there was Jack Scalia, the man of the hour, the man of the day, and but he got paid a normal rate, and I never forget. I think I got more for the billboard, but his hourly rate was the same as
Oh,
his.
yeah, but I mean, what that brought to his business, but still, it's just the, it's just the parody of the
Why
thing.
didn't he get twice the hourly rate, you know, or
Yeah.
twice the day rate for it?
Yeah.
But it did. It made him a household name. It made him famous. People asked about him, and I think it made his career. Like I think your cover sets you off.
Mhm.
I think your cover is very important for you and for your career, because being on GQ made you span all different areas of the business. You know, the young guy, the lover, the model of just clothes, but it brought, I have to say, romance and a lot of really good feelings to the business. I mean, I think people looked at the business and really felt for the people that were in the advertising, and I don't think that happens today.
Yeah.
Whatever
Well,
advertising,
I don't know if you know, but my dad was in the advertising business for 50 years. He was a major executive at all of the big, Ted Bates, SSC&B, and so I understood advertising from just him, you
yeah,
know, and growing up. So, and like I said before about the exposure thing, so some people had just one look. The guys that they had their look and they concentrated on just that, and I figured, you can't just have that. So that when I could bring in the glasses, that's another look. And I had another thing. I never cut my hair. I, I never cut my hair. So I
yeah,
would just let it grow and grow and grow. And then somebody would come like, oh, you got to give me a haircut. Go ahead. You know, it's
oh,
okay. So you have these pictures coming out. You don't necessarily look exactly like the same person each time, because your hair is different.
yeah,
You're in a different situation. And then again, like I said, you have to then, like farming, you know, you have to rotate your crop.
yeah. That was our diversity,
Yeah.
which is different than it is today. But our diversity was an individual could do many things,
Yeah.
and were called on to do many different things. A lot of guys had certain talents that they used, and a lot of people didn't. But the key was we were very diversified, and I don't know if we have much more time, but I think that's another day about diversity in another time. But I want to really thank you, Bob, for being here. And we do hang out, and we are going to get together for Christmas lunch like we normally do. And I know I'll see you before then, but thank you very much, and we'll talk soon.
All
Take
right.
care.
Thank
Bye.
you.